Hashtag, did you know that Apollo, the god of prophecy, music, healing, and archery, was once a shepherd? It's true. Before he ascended to Mount Olympus, before he became the radiant god of light and music, Apollo was a simple shepherd, tending his flock in the sun-drenched hills of Arcadia. His name then was not Apollo, but Asclepius, a name that whispered of healing and the gentle touch of a shepherd's hand. Asclepius was a quiet boy, his days filled with the bleating of sheep and the rustling of leaves. He found solace in the rhythm of nature, in the whispering wind and the chirping of birds. He learned to read the language of the stars, to predict the weather by the clouds, and to understand the pulse of the earth. He was a natural healer, his touch soothing the wounds of his sheep and his knowledge of herbs easing their ailments. One day, while tending his flock, Asclepius stumbled upon a strange sight. A serpent, its scales shimmering like emeralds, lay coiled around a dead bird. Asclepius, curious, approached the serpent, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and fascination. The serpent, sensing his presence, raised its head and hissed, its eyes gleaming with an ancient wisdom. Asclepius, instead of fleeing, felt a strange pull towards the creature. He reached out, his hand trembling, and touched the serpent's scales. The serpent, instead of striking, coiled around his arm, its scales warm against his skin. Asclepius felt a surge of energy flow through him, a knowledge that seemed to seep into his very being. He saw visions, flashes of the past and glimpses of the future, all woven together in a tapestry of understanding. The serpent, sensing his awakening, slithered away, leaving Asclepius with a newfound power. He could now see the future, not in hazy visions, but in clear, vivid detail. He could hear the whispers of the wind, the secrets of the earth, and the songs of the stars. He could heal not only his sheep, but also the villagers who came to him, seeking his wisdom and his touch. Word of Asclepius's powers spread like wildfire. People from far and wide flocked to his humble cottage, seeking his guidance and his healing touch. He became known as the shepherd healer, a man who could see the future and mend the broken. But Asclepius, despite his newfound power, remained humble. He never sought fame or fortune, content with his simple life and the knowledge that he could help others. He continued to tend his flock, his heart filled with the love of nature and the joy of healing. One day, a group of travelers arrived at his cottage, their faces etched with worry. They spoke of a plague that had ravaged their village, a sickness that defied all known remedies. They begged Asclepius to help them, to use his powers to save their people. Asclepius, moved by their plight, agreed to help. He journeyed with them to their village, his heart heavy with the weight of their suffering. He saw the sick and dying, their faces pale and their bodies racked with fever. He felt a deep sorrow for their pain, a desire to ease their suffering. He spent days tending to the sick, using his knowledge of herbs and his newfound powers to heal them. He saw visions of the plague's origin, a dark force that had infected the land, and he understood the nature of the disease. He knew that he could not simply heal the sick, he had to cleanse the land itself. He gathered the villagers, his voice strong and clear, and told them of his vision. He spoke of a sacred spring, hidden deep within the forest, where the waters flowed with healing power. He told them that they must journey to this spring, purify themselves in its waters, and cleanse the land of the plague. The villagers, desperate for hope, followed Asclepius into the forest. They journeyed for days, their spirits lifted by his unwavering faith and his gentle guidance. Finally, they reached the sacred spring, its waters shimmering like liquid silver. Asclepius led them to the spring, his heart filled with hope. He dipped his hands into the water, feeling its cool, cleansing power. He then turned to the villagers, his eyes filled with compassion, and told them to follow his example. One by one, the villagers dipped themselves in the spring, their bodies cleansed and their spirits renewed. As they emerged from the water, they felt a sense of peace and well-being, the plague's grip loosening its hold on them. Asclepius, watching them, felt a surge of joy. He had saved them, not just with his healing touch, but with his wisdom and his faith. He had shown them the power of nature, the strength of hope, and the importance of unity. But as the villagers celebrated their newfound health, Asclepius felt a strange pull, a sense of destiny calling him away. He looked up at the sky and saw a chariot of fire descending from the heavens, its wheels blazing with light. He knew then that his time as a shepherd was over. He had been chosen for a greater purpose, a destiny that lay beyond the hills of Arcadia. He turned to the villagers, his voice filled with love and gratitude. and told them that he must leave them, but that he would always be with them in spirit. He stepped into the chariot of fire, his heart filled with a mixture of sadness and joy. He knew that he was leaving behind a life of simplicity and peace, but he also knew that he was embarking on a journey that would change the world. As the chariot ascended into the heavens, Asclepius felt a surge of power flow through him. He saw visions of the future, of a world where he would bring light and healing, where he would inspire artists and poets, and where he would guide humanity towards a brighter future. He knew then that he was no longer Asclepius, the shepherd healer. He was Apollo, the god of prophecy, music, healing, and archery, a radiant being who would forever shine his light upon the world. And so, Apollo, the god of prophecy, music, healing, and archery, ascended to Mount Olympus, his heart filled with the love of humanity and the desire to guide them towards a brighter future. He carried with him the memories of his time as a shepherd, the lessons he had learned from nature, and the wisdom he had gained from his encounters with the divine. But even as he became a god, Apollo never forgot his roots. He continued to heal the sick, to inspire artists, and to guide humanity towards a better world. He remained a shepherd at heart, a protector of the innocent and a beacon of hope for all who sought his guidance. And so, the legend of Apollo, the god of prophecy, music, healing, and archery, was born. A legend that whispered of a shepherd who became a god, a healer who became a beacon of light, and a man who, even in his divine form, never forgot the simple joys of tending his flock and the profound power of healing. But that's not all. There's more to the story, a darker side. A secret that Apollo kept hidden for centuries. A secret that would forever change the course of history. A secret that would forever bind him to the fate of humanity. It all began with a prophecy, a vision that Apollo saw as a shepherd, a vision that foretold the rise and fall of empires, the birth and death of heroes, and the ultimate fate of the world. It was a vision that filled him with both hope and dread, a vision that he knew he had to keep hidden, for fear of the chaos it would unleash. The prophecy spoke of a time when the world would be plunged into darkness, a time when the forces of evil would rise and threaten to destroy all that was good. It spoke of a chosen one, a hero who would rise to fight against the darkness, a hero who would be both blessed and cursed by the gods. Apollo, knowing the power of prophecy, knew that he had to protect this secret, to keep it hidden from those who would seek to exploit it. He knew that the fate of the world rested on his shoulders, and he was determined to do everything in his power to prevent the prophecy from coming true. But as time passed, Apollo began to doubt his own ability to control the future. He saw the world around him changing, the forces of darkness growing stronger, and the chosen one, the hero who was destined to save the world, nowhere in sight. He began to fear that the prophecy was inevitable, that the world was destined to be plunged into darkness. He felt a sense of despair, a feeling that he was powerless to stop the inevitable. But then, one day, he saw a vision of a young woman, her eyes filled with light and her heart filled with courage. He saw her standing against the forces of darkness, her spirit unyielding, her will unbreakable. He knew then that she was the chosen one, the hero who was destined to save the world. He knew that he had to find her, to guide her, to help her fulfill her destiny. And so, Apollo, the god of prophecy, music, healing, and archery, embarked on a quest to find the chosen one. A quest that would take him across the world, through time and space, and into the very heart of darkness. He knew that the journey would be fraught with danger, that he would face challenges that would test his strength and his courage. But he was determined to succeed, to fulfill his destiny, and to save the world from the darkness that threatened to consume it. And so, the story of Apollo, the god of prophecy, music, healing, and archery, became a story of hope, a story of courage, and a story of the eternal struggle between light and darkness. It became a story that would be told for generations to come, a story that would inspire generations to fight for what is right, to stand against the forces of evil, and to believe in the power of hope. But that's just the beginning. There's so much more to the story, so many secrets yet to be revealed, so many mysteries yet to be solved. For the story of Apollo, the god of prophecy, music, healing, and archery, is a story that is still being written, a story that will continue to unfold for as long as humanity exists. It's a story that will leave you breathless, a story that will make you question everything you thought you knew, a story that will stay with you long after you've finished reading it. So, are you ready to dive into the world of Apollo, the god of prophecy, music, healing, and archery? Are you ready to discover the secrets that he has kept hidden for centuries? Then let the story begin.